Hi everyone, my name is Luchko and welcome to another episode of the Brooklyn Podcast. Today we have the ghostwriter Joshua Lisec and he shares insights on becoming a ghostwriter, mistakes to avoid early in your career, who can become a ghostwriter, getting clients and general freelancing tips. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the show. How are you doing, Joshua?
I'm doing pretty dandy. Thanks for having me on.
Would you like to tell us a bit about yourself?
Yes, yeah. So most people, when they find out that I'm a ghostwriter, they say, "How does one become a ghostwriter?" And for me, it happened completely by accident. Several years ago, almost more than a decade, actually, I was writing a couple of novels because that was my lifelong childhood dream, was to grow up and one day become a published novelist. Well, when I was 20 years old, I had myself a 2-book publishing deal for 2 novels that I had written. As I was going about promoting those novels and trying to sell copies and signing copies and taking selfies with fans back on flip phones when most people didn't have.
You were just 20 years old doing all of this. That's crazy,
Yes.
man. That's crazy.
Yeah. I wanted to get started with my childhood dreams as soon as possible. And
Yeah.
that is how I ended up becoming a ghostwriter, because a couple of the people who purchased one of my books a little over 10 years ago reached out to me and said, "Joshua, this is really good. I am much, much older than you, and I have wanted to write a book longer than you have been alive. Can you help me with write my book, please?" And so it was the fact that I had a book that is what inspired people to want to have me write their book. And I have been a ghostwriter ever since. And I recently just finished ghostwriting my 65th book.
Oh, that's actually a lot. Over the span of 10 years, yeah.
Yes. So I average about 6 books a year.
Wow. That's crazy. So how do you go about getting your ghostwriting clients? Like from those first
Yes,
years,
how to get
those first years, they came to you because of your book deals and all of those. Is that the same pattern you used to know? And tell us about that.
Yes. So how to get ghostwriting clients? Well, the first couple of clients that I had, they fortunately recommended me to a couple of colleagues or friends of theirs, and so I got a few more clients, and then those people recommended me to their friends and their clients and their business associates, and I to this day have clients that I can trace back 10 years that I've gotten because of those first couple clients.
That's crazy. So your celebrity clients, because I saw that you've written for Scott Adams and Ed Latimer and a couple of people. How did you close those deals? How did they happen?
Yeah, so I've done. I did a collaboration with Ed Lattimore it was in 2020, called "The Best Way to Tweet It," and that's basically a joint Twitter and social media course that is specifically about generating clients from social media, which he and I are both good at. And in addition to that, I've done some work for in Ed Lattimore's personal brand personally. So he has had the Joshua Lisec experience. And then there's the Dilbert creator and super popular influencer Scott Adams. I did spontaneously a project for him that he mentioned on his YouTube show, I think a couple of years ago, related to a concept he developed called the Digital Bill of Rights, kind of a bill of rights for the internet, for internet users. And I turned a few minutes of a transcript that he had done on his podcast talking about that, and I turned it into a publication, and he absolutely loved it. And he said everyone should read it. Read Joshua's version of it that he ghost wrote for me, and then you should hire him. And that's generated some business as well, which gets to an important point. The best success advice I can give anyone in any industry, whether you want to be a ghostwriter or anything else, is to impress important people. Impress important people. Now, by important, I don't simply mean, oh, they're rich and they're famous. What I mean is other people see them as important. Other people take their words seriously. And so the first couple of clients I had, I would consider them VIPs, very important people. Meaning when they said, "Wow, I really like my book, what Joshua did for me, you should hire him," they took that recommendation seriously. And it's the fact that that those individuals were looked up to, were admired, were respected, and were well known really helped. And so it is very difficult to get word of mouth marketing going for you to get clients when the first clients you have, they're starting a business for the first time. They don't have any customers, or they just want to have a memoir written for themselves, and and it's going to just be read by their family, or it's like a passion project, or it's a church, or it's a nonprofit, and they don't actually have any clout or pull. Very difficult to get clients from referrals from them, because their referrals go out to nowhere, to no one, really.
So, ghostwriting is less of you and more of the client. How do you feel about creating so much content for other people and not for yourself, or little for yourself? Because as a ghostwriter, you're behind the scenes. How do you manage to, at the end of times where you feel like you can use this content for yourself rather than your client or something? Doesn't it feel kind of weird?
Yeah. I'm going into my 11th year as a professional ghostwriter. For the first 6 of those years, I did absolutely zero self-promotion for the most part, for my services. I was always just, marketing, and I would do presentations and sometimes do the occasional webinar to generate clients for my work. But then I realized, wait a second, other ghostwriters are making this same mistake. They're not writing their own stuff. They're trying to go out and get more clients. What if I start writing and publishing my own stuff? And that's what I began doing in the year 2017. And as part of that push, I was writing articles, and I was giving podcast interviews, and I'd even created a short online course at the time for improving your writing skills. And I pitched and won the opportunity to give a TED Talk. And that was in 2017.
I think I saw that video too.
Yes. And that was really the moment I realized, wow, people really like me and my content. And I get clients from that TEDx talk almost 5 years later now. So it was that experience that motivated me to write and to publish myself. Now, I had already written and gotten published those 2 novels. So I felt like, okay, I've been there, I've done that. I was the author, and, I got the glory of being an author and taking selfies with fans and signing copies. So I scratched that itch, so to speak.
Are there any regrets? Have you had any regrets as a ghostwriter?
Regrets along the way. Most service providers regret charging too little early on, charging way too little early on. That is definitely a big mistake. Is having prices like, well, I want to be the cheapest. I want to be the best value. No, wrong. Ooh, here's the reason why. A serious business person values their time. And if someone is charging $50 to write an ebook, that ebook is not going to be very good. That's what they assume. But if they're paying $5,000 for an ebook, they expect it to be good. And if you can actually deliver something that's quality, well, there you go. So that is the issue. I realized that clients feel better about paying more. You also, with higher prices, tend to close people who are better. And let's say, well, I want to get everyone that I can as a client because I need the money, right? Well, imagine this. Imagine you have 5 people you talk to this month who are interested in your services. Let's run the numbers. Let's say you pitch all 5 of them your ongoing monthly services for, let's say, $100. Okay. That tends to be what I see a lot of people charging outside of like the US and other markets like that.
Yeah.
Well, maybe 4 of those 5 say yes. So you made US $400, or you made US $400 equivalent, right? That's pretty awesome. But what happens next month? Next month, you up your prices big time. You now charge $1,000, $1,000 US for the exact same service. And you get 5 new inquiries. And let's say you pitch all 5 of them your $1,000 service. 2 of them say yes. So you have halved your work, I should say, because now you have 2 clients out of 4. But you've gone from $400 to $2,000. So you have 5x your income, or increased it by a factor 5 times while having your work. That is together a return on your time of 10x, because you're working half the amount for 5 times more, or the equivalent of 10x more. That is how to 10x your business. And it's absolutely amazing. And I highly recommend you do that. And I learned that lesson too late. Too late.
So what do you think are some things you need to learn to become like a ghostwriter? Because do you think anybody can just write off the bat become a ghostwriter?
Ghostwriting is extremely difficult, not for the obvious reasons. Writing itself is hard, but once you are able to write in such a way that people can understand it, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's not doing that for someone else is not ghostwriting though. The top ghostwriting clients want someone to ghostwrite for them who is going to be able to write something for them that makes them money. Meaning, write me a book that people are going to want to buy. Because we're not saying write me something good. Write me a good book. No. That's obvious. Of course, it needs to be a good book, but it needs to be a good book that people buy. Otherwise, what's the point? What's the point? And so what you need to be able to do is not just write well, but write as if you are a sales copywriter, that you are an internet marketer almost, meaning that what you are able to write can cultivate a reader's desire to buy the book, to buy more books from the author, to visit their website and get on their newsletter, to visit their website and buy one of their courses, to visit their website and hire them for their services outright. So that's the second level. Yes, you need to be able to write well, but you also need to be able to write sales copy well. And then there's the third level, which is write well, write sales copy well, and then write well, sales copy well in someone else's voice. So it's 3 levels of communication that all have to coexist for the ghostwriting to be any good. You know, it's well, it is sales copy, and then it is the voice of the client, so that when someone else reads what it is that they wrote, it's like, oh yeah, this is definitely the person whose name is on the book. So it's very difficult. So do I think anyone can do it? Absolutely not. and the fact that I would say at least half of the clients I've had over the years, that would be 30, over 30 clients. I was not the first ghostwriter that they hired.
Really?
They had hired someone else, had a terrible experience, and fired them. There was one guy, he had gone through 8 ghostwriters before me. That's 8. That's not good. That's not good. So are there better ways to make money? Yes. It isn't. So I will be the one to say that most people should not be ghostwriters. Even most writers should not be ghostwriters. What I would recommend doing instead is writing for yourself. That's a given, whether you're going to be a ghostwriter or a copywriter or an editor. So put your own stuff out there so people can see that you can actually write. And that was what I learned early on. By writing and getting books published, people saw, wow, this kid can actually write. I didn't even call myself a ghostwriter yet. The book, think about that. The book was so good. Like, you're not even a ghostwriter, Joshua, but I want you to help me anyway. I don't care that you're not a ghostwriter. Please help me. That is how good your writing needs to be for yourself. And then you can see what happens next once you get that written and out there.
Yeah. So when you get a client, what is the first thing you do?
Yeah. So when I get clients, one of the very first things to do after getting them as a client is I want to study their voice. So I want to read their blog articles. If they've written a previous book, read their previous book. I do my homework and I do my research, and sometimes we'll get on their newsletter list and read previous email newsletters that they have sent out there. I will listen to and transcribe interviews that they have given, because I want to compile as much content as possible so that what I say, I would have the person say, actually sounds like them.
I think I've heard something like that before, that you have to, first of all, understand who you're writing about. Yeah, some people even go as far as spending months reading and studying these people's content and interviewing them seriously before putting pen on paper, because you need to actually get the person's voice. That's like the whole point of ghostwriting, to get the person's voice so you can be convincing enough to his readers. So that makes so much sense. But how do you? Because I struggle with this too as a copywriter. How do you balance writing your own content and writing your ghostwriting like content for your clients? Basically? How do you create a balance?
The client, it takes priority, absolutely, but making the client the entire priority is not good, because then you're not creating anything for yourself at all. So one of my primary platforms are Twitter and YouTube. Twitter and YouTube. That's why I post majority of my stuff. For about 4.5 years now, I have tried to average roughly 2 new videos a month. And then I got to a point where I was doing 1 new video a week. But most of the time it was pretty much 1 new video every other week. Keeping with that cadence made sure that I wasn't taking up time that I needed to devote to client projects. At the same time, I was still getting myself out there and have been getting myself out there in front of new potential clients. So having a cadence where I'm going to average, maybe it's 1 new article a week that I put out there, 1 new video a week that I put out there, something like that. And if you miss a week, okay, do 2 next week. Maybe they're both shorter videos. There was a period in 2021, I don't think I posted a video for 3 months. And then in the past 6 weeks, I posted 10 videos to kind of make up for that. Yeah. I've also gotten on TikTok. I've been posting a lot of videos on TikTok as well, shorter videos, of course, to try to get the word out over there. But coming back to your own content, maybe it's one nice solid article a month. Maybe it's an article every other week. Whatever that cadence is, stick with it and even put it on your schedule as if you are one of your own clients.
So how many books have you created for yourself so far since you started?
3. The first 2 novels, and then I did a collaboration with Adam Lane Smith in the lit RPG genre in 2021. It came out in May 2021. So 3 books have my name on it, and I'm working on my first solo under my own name published nonfiction book. Yeah. That'll be coming out later this year.
So if you could choose between ghostwriting and only writing books in your name, which one you go for?
It would be ghostwriter for sure, for sure.
Why?
Because I'm able to reach more people. Because each new person is a new audience that they have. Mm-hmm. And so thinking plus ghostwriting pays pretty well, and it's new clients every time, and a lot of people need it, right? I have quite a few followers on Twitter, and I've got some over on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and now TikTok. Got a few dozen up and coming over there. But if someone has an audience of 80,000 customers or 500,000 Twitter followers, writing a book for that person, they are going to sell a lot of copies of that book. It is going to be extremely successful, and they're going to make a lot of money off of it. And then they're going to tell all of their friends who have a lot of followers online, a lot of customers as well. Hey, I made a lot of money from Joshua. He wrote me a book that made me a lot of money. You should hire him too. Okay. And so, and that way I'm not exhausting and writing 65 books for my own followers who may not want to buy 65 books from me.
Yeah. Don't you think, what is your retirement plan? Will you be able to go straight to your 90?
Probably ghostwrite for a while. It's definitely the medium term plan is to keep going.
So in the long run, it will be all about your books, yeah?
Yes.
That makes sense. The truth is, you're all about the money right now. You don't even care about putting your name, publishing under your name, just for the other people. And it makes so much sense, because that's where you are right now. And but don't you get scared about AI? Don't you worry about becoming obsolete? What if there's a software that can do all of these things?
There's a lot of talk about artificial intelligence ghostwriters and AI writers and that sort of thing. And every time a new one comes along, I try it. And they're awful. Are they awful in that the software doesn't work? No, because it does. It's awful in that the artificially generated content takes, while it's okay, it takes so long to rewrite and edit and expand on, so that you would probably save more time writing it yourself or hiring a ghostwriter. Plus, this is this idea like there's a software that came out kind of on the scenes a few months ago, and the top feature that they recommended that you use of theirs was it was like Twitter ghostwriting, something like that, where it could ghostwrite new tweets for you. In massive backlash against the software and against the product launch, because it's like, wow, if communication could not get any worse, now all the big accounts are going to have a robot write for them. Great. So it's not going to be really them. So the fact that was kind of the resistance, even to using those features, that is a good sign that ghostwriting is not going away anytime soon.
Absolutely, because I feel like AI still has a lot of work to do to get to our level. So when you're doing your research for your clients, are there times where like you've done everything you possibly can to get information about these people? Are there times where you just get stuck?
I don't really get stuck. Working on projects. I would say that the reason why I don't get stuck is clients usually have more than enough ideas for a book. So it's not, oh wow, what should we say next? It's, of these 10 books that I could write, which is the first one I should actually write? That's usually what the issue is. Yeah. And if they do have too few ideas, well, then we look at, okay, well, what are other examples that can be used to illustrate this? What are some actions that people must take? What additional guidance could they need if they get stuck? How do they know they're doing it right? Those sorts of things can double the size of a book instantly, just asking those questions to an author.
Do you write more of self-help books or personal stories?
I typically write how-to books. And how-to books are all over the place. They could be business how-to, they could be science how-to, they could be health and wellness how-to, they could even be, and it's not always how-to books, but it's usually facts-based. So I used to do quite a few memoirs, don't do a whole lot of those anymore. I used to do a lot of religion, faith-based, spirituality, and philosophy books. Don't do those a whole lot anymore. Because it seems like the best author business model is one in which the author has a book that they can sell. And then for people who like the book, they can go buy the author's course. And if the readers like the author's course, then they can go hire them for their services, so on and so forth. And now a book has made them a lot of money.
Like the how-to books that don't have personal elements from them. I the one who does all the research. Like your clients just give you the topic and you come back to him with complete drafts. Is that how it goes? Or...
Yeah. I meet with clients on a regular basis, usually once a week for a set number of months, because I want to get the sense of what is it they want to say, because they don't want to be, they absolutely do not want to be stuck talking to someone once and then reading the full draft that person wrote and then say, oh, wow, this is not at all what I had in mind. I need to rewrite it from scratch, or just dump it. And that's what usually happens for a lot of people who they hired a ghostwriter. It was awful, and then they fired them, and then they hired me. That is a refrain. That's a common refrain.
So have you ever been fired?
No.
That's crazy. Is it like because of the weekly meetings you do, or because you're very
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of meetings that I'll do. I'll have conversations with people on a regular basis, usually once a week, because that's what it takes for me to get their stories and get their experiences and get their ideas. Yeah.
So how many months does it take to actually ghostwrite a book?
Anywhere from 2 months to a year.
Wow.
It really depends on how much material they already have, how soon the book needs to come out. And I would say another thing that is important to consider is what their budget is, what their schedule is. Do they have other responsibilities and obligations coming up that are kind of important for them to figure out to take care of and whatnot?
That's actually crazy, because I never thought it took that long. I thought my idea of a ghostwriting gig was 3 months or 2 months, or in some cases 1 month. But 12 months. 12 months is a lot.
Yeah, that would be if like they're, hey, I want to write a book. I don't have any content. I don't have any ideas. I don't even have an outline, but it would be really nice if I could get this done. But I just need a lot of help. And so
Yeah.
that's why it takes so long.
So back to advice for new writers. You've probably gotten a lot of people reaching out to you, telling you how they can start, how they can go about ghostwriting and all of that. So what is an advice you can give writers in general to become better?
Well, I've packaged a lot of my trainings into my best way to say it courses that are on gumroad.com. I'll pull out a couple of them. So the two most popular are the best way to say it. And that's where I teach how to write anything from scratch, whether it's a short blog post or a long book that you're writing for yourself or for a client. It's all the essential skills of how to write well, how to write well quickly, how to write well quickly for someone else. That's the best way to say it. And then there's a shorter masterclass called Write This, Not That. And what Write This, Not That teaches is how to self-edit what you've written so that it can be maximally persuasive to whoever is reading it. Fortunes have been made from students of mine who have bought both of those courses, have absolutely changed their lives, and they became ghostwriters themselves. But it's because they learned how to do it first.
If you weren't a writer, what other profession would you have done?
Well, that's a good question. Probably something related to writing and communication.
No writing at
I mean,
all.
I would guess it probably it would have. I think it would have to be something writing related for sure, because that's kind of my expertise is in writing and written communication.
You say you started writing at 20. How long before then have you wanted to become a writer?
I would say it would go back to my my early childhood. Yeah, because I really enjoyed reading inspiring fiction, even as a kid. Things that would inspire stories that would make me dream of more, stories that would just do really, I mean, any of these amazing things. So yeah.
Looks like you've always loved writing and that has been your thing. Yeah, and you're doing pretty well because your name is all over the place. I did a Google search of Joshua Lisec and I saw a lot of things you've done. It's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
What's like the secret for longevity? Like, what is your advice for like to keep going in the long run?
Yeah, the best way to keep going along your journey, whatever it looks like, and whatever stage you're at, is to try to get as instant of feedback as possible, and then iterate, meaning adjust course as needed, and that may just be keep going faster or slower. Most people never achieve their dreams, not because their dreams were unrealistic, but because they're going after them too slow. I'll give you an example of this. I made a lot of mistakes early on in my career. And one of them, as I mentioned, was charging way too little, which I did for probably the first 6 years of my business. Way, way, way too little. Like so low that people would be skeptical I could even deliver on what it was that I was promising. Really, like that low. It was that bad. So what does that mean? Well, it means, what if I had begun charging reasonable rates for someone with my experience 2 years, 3 years into my journey rather than 6? Well, I was probably too scared to do that. Oh, what if they say no? Well, what if they say yes? What if they say yes? And so I never got that feedback. It took me 6 years to start getting that feedback, and they would say, oh yeah, that's reasonable. And then they would hire me and I'd be like, wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So all of my advice in this is to get as close to feedback as possible. Launch the thing, see what people say. Pitch your service at a higher rate, see what they say. Publish an article and see what they say. Don't spend years or months even honing that article and editing it and then writing the next one without publishing the first one, and all of the things that don't put you out into the public eye or into a sales call with a customer. Get to that feedback from real people as soon as possible, and then change what happens next time, knowing that this is not failure if they say no, or no one likes it, no one clicks. It's, I guess I should do something different next time. Okay, then change it quickly. Move on, and you're done. Do the next thing. That's why most people don't ever achieve their dreams, is because they don't get enough feedback soon enough to be able to adjust course.
That makes sense. So those two things are what will keep you in the long term. So what will you say when nothing is working? Like you've been adjusting course for the longest, like you did something and it didn't work, did another thing and it didn't work. What will you do to make that person keep going? Because there are so many opportunities on the internet. So you can try this thing for 6 months and it doesn't work. Try it and that one and it doesn't work. So what is your advice for someone like that?
Yeah. So often someone who says, I tried this out for this period of time and it didn't work out. What they really mean is, I researched and I read a lot and I studied and I tried it once over a 6-month period and it didn't work. Like,
Yeah.
it would be like, I tried so hard getting a traditional book publishing deal and nobody wanted to publish my book.
Mhm.
How many publishers did you reach out to? 3. Okay, really? If you had reached out to 3,000, maybe I would say at that point, okay, yeah, you should try something else. So it's not about the time, it's the number of attempts, really.
Yeah.
Really. If you talk to 2 people and 2 of them say no to your service, well, maybe you need to talk to 10. You need to talk to 20. Cold email to pitch a product or pitch a service. People know it as a numbers game. The more people you reach out to, the more likely you're going to get one.
Yeah.
Oh, I sent 3 cold emails and nobody responded. If you sent 300 and no one responded, then it's time to be concerned. Until then, you've got 297 more emails to send you.
Yeah.
So you have to get enough reps, as they say, enough attempts to even figure out if what you are doing isn't working. It isn't working. Otherwise, you don't actually know. It's like, oh, I'm not a very good golfer. How do you know you're not a very good golfer? Well, I swung the club a couple of times and didn't hit the ball really well. Did you play a round of golf? No. Well, what about the putting green? I'm a pretty good putter. You just said you weren't a bad golfer. Well, and then you realize that the person's not really telling the truth about how good or bad they are at golfing. They just hit the ball twice. They're warming up, you see. So most people quit when they're warming up. That's not the time to quit. The time to quit is after you lose over and over and over after giving it your best, and most people don't give their best.
I think for me, is the secret to it is obsession, because so many people hold themselves back a little because for some reason, like you need to be focused to be obsessed. Like focus is hard. Trust me, focus is hard today because there are so many things, there are so many people making noise about what they are doing. And when you look at this person winning in what he's doing and you look at yourself and there's nothing happening for you, you want to jump ship and do something else. So what I've learned so far is be focused, like that everyone else will think you're obsessed, because that's how you get your victory in the end. Because I feel like without obsession, you can't send 300 emails in 10 days or 5 days or something, because it gets repetitive, it gets boring.
Right. Another thing that you need besides obsession is automation. For example, there are software that can send 3,000 cold emails for you in minutes. Why would you want to take weeks or months even sending 3,000 cold emails if you can send them in minutes for a reasonable fee? I mean, it might be a little bit more expensive than you want. It might be more expensive than you wanted, but weeks to reach 300 or minutes to reach 3,000, there's no object. There's no competition there.
Well, people who are just starting out may not have the budget for that now. So how you go around that?
How do I get around what now?
People who are just starting that don't have the budget for them automation tools.
Yeah, when they don't have a budget for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, if you're just starting out and you don't have any clients at all, the first thing you need to do is obviously get clients. Okay, well, what's the fastest way to get clients? Well, it's to offer free help. Frankly, it's to offer free help. I'll give you an example of this. I tweeted out it was like a year and a half ago that my website had been infected by some malware. I needed it removed, and I said, hey, I said something like, I saw that this malware thing is infected one of my websites, and I asked for some advice about removing the files. Well, someone direct messaged me and said, hey, I saw your tweet about needing help on this. I've been working on websites for years. What seems to be your issue? And he walked me through everything I needed to do to fix it in about 15, 20 minutes. Do you think I asked to hire him at the end of that conversation? Yeah. Yeah, I did. That's how to get your first clients. When people ask for help, you show up and you help them.
People are not that patient. Like personally, I don't think I'm that patient to offer free services because writing a whole sales letter for somebody is a lot of work, like for free. So how I started was Upwork. So from Upwork, I started getting clients from LinkedIn and Twitter. Or I started getting clients from LinkedIn first and Upwork and Twitter like that. So there are different ways to actually go about it, but free content actually helps if you're patient enough to do it. And when you can gain people's trust through free content, you actually keep them in the long run. Do you think there are any personality traits for becoming a good ghostwriter?
People who are effective project managers tend to be good ghostwriters, and that's usually what an author wants. Is they want someone who doesn't just write but can like take over the project and make it happen with ease.
Yeah.
With ease. That's really what they're looking for. They're looking for a project manager to just take it off their plate and make it happen. The entire thing. So if you're a good project manager and you can write well, and you know how to write copy, and you can mimic the voice of someone else, you can earn 6 figures US dollars per year with ease. With ease, if you have those skills. Problem is, most people don't. Most people don't have those skills.
So what did you have to learn? Obviously, you were a good writer, and now you've spoken about project management. So what other skills do you need aside being a good writer and project management? What are other skills you think you've learned to become a good writer?
The best at any skill tend to be the people who are the best at selling it, because it means they believe it. Yeah. People who are not super confident in their abilities come across as not super confident in their abilities during sales calls, discovery calls with potential clients.
Yeah.
And so building your sales skills, and there's plenty of people on Twitter and elsewhere who teach how to sell. I have a course myself called The Best Way to High Ticket, how to sell a high price ghostwriting service with ease, even if you're just a freelancer and have never done it before. And what happens when you become good at sales is become more confident in yourself, because you know that what you're projecting to the prospect, potential client, is true. And that confidence cannot be faked. Actually, yeah. You can say the right words, but if it's obvious you don't mean them, they're not the right words.
That makes so much sense now. So what else? But I feel like there's more. There should be more. Like when you've gotten the client, after getting the client, this is just speaking about getting the client, like selling. And you spoke again about how other clients of yours fire their other ghostwriters. What skills do you need outside project management, writing, and convincing your client? What skills you need to actually deliver properly to your clients?
Any skills related to, the way to put it would be, I want to say communication, but what does that even mean? It's more like customer service, because clients are going to have questions. They're going to want to change things. They're going to get confused about payment terms, or they're going to wonder what you mean by this in the agreement. And having customer service skills means you will not get offended. You'll not act offended. You will not be gruff, but you will make it a pleasant experience for the client. So if you have, so that's another thing that I would add, and not just being able to write well, write copy, write in the voice of someone else, and be an effective project manager. You also and be a proficient salesperson. Customer service means you will be able to manage your client's emotions effectively to protect the integrity of the project, and also keep them from writing a terrible title that's going to make it not sell as many copies as it could have, which happens a lot.
Well, are you not in charge of writing the topics?
Sometimes, yes. Because I've done so many books by this point, I have a good sense of what books will sell and which will not. And so someone will say, hey, I want to write a book about this thing. I'll say, okay, well, that book you just described has been written 5 times. And here's what you need to do to rewrite it. Write a different one, a unique one. Can you do that? And sometimes they say, well, I don't want to write that book. I want to write the book I want to write. Okay, but I'm not going to help you. See ya. I have no problem telling people no.
Well, are there no times the client has insisted on you writing those books that have been written 5 times already?
If it is a client that I currently have, then I will say, well, let's just make sure we're giving new stories, we're giving new examples, we're giving new advice, we're giving something, even if it's the same old topic. Well, it's at least got to be new, and then a title that feels new. That's important to have as well. And then if it's someone who's just reached out to me and emailed me, said, Joshua, I want to write a book about this topic, and I say, well, that's been done 5 times or 5,000 times. I don't recommend it, but you could write this book instead. They say, no, I really want to do the book that I want to write. And I will tell myself, this person would be a terrible client because they will not listen to wisdom. They will not listen to sense. They want to do what they want to do. And so I say, well, I wish you all the best, but I'm not the person for you. And then I let them go sell 5 copies.
I thought you'd have taken the job and just written it like that.
Yeah, I would really not want to take on jobs like that where I'm writing the book that they want to write now, because I did do that early on in my career, and it was very difficult because every whim that the author had, we would just follow it together, and it was always not a good idea, So now my job as part of the project management is to protect the project, manage the project so that they do not ruin it.
Yeah, so you have to be like driver and not let the client lead to an extent, because most clients might ruin the project entirely.
Yes, happens all the time as they ruin their own books. Gotta prevent that from happening.
It has been a great chat. I've really enjoyed speaking to you. Where can my audience find you on the internet?
Yeah. Probably the best place where I'm most active is on Twitter at Joshua Lisec. Same as over on YouTube. I have 200 videos available over on my YouTube. If you search Joshua Lisec, you'll find my channel there as well. And then I've mentioned a few writing courses and sales courses, like the best way to high ticket or the best way to say it. That's on the Gumroad platform. I think I'm joshualisec.gumroad.com. You can find all of my courses. I think I have 10 courses on different aspects of writing and books and publishing and even ghostwriting over there for everyone interested in learning more and getting those skills that get paid a lot.
Yeah, it's been nice talking to you, man.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Have a nice day.
Sure thing.
Thank you for coming this far. My name is Tochko Koro. Find me on Twitter at Growth Clinic. Growth Clinic with 2 C's at the end. Or check my website at tochkokoro.com.